Chagra ba'oiz masneha. She girds her loins with strength. That's the beautiful hymn that we say Friday night, Eshes Chayil, woman of valor, speaking about one's wife. But it's a metaphor for our relationship with God. And the she is the neshama. The she is the soul. The soul is feminine because the soul is a recipient. The divine soul is a recipient from God. It receives godliness from God. And therefore it's the female. Now, loins are what holds up the body, holds up the head, holds up the arms, which is our intelligence. The head, our arms are what expresses emotions of love and awe, of kindness and judgment. And the loins, the metaphor, is faith. Faith and munah is that God is transcendent and immanent at the same time. He's beyond, he's infinite, and yet he is very much present. Basic faith that we have, that the soul has. How do you strengthen, though, faith? How do you strengthen the faith that is necessary, that is there, a part of the soul, but to empower it, to give it the necessary strength so that now it can hold up, that we could think properly about life in general, God in particular and his greatness and the reality of God in our lives, and that should lead to an emotional attachment of love and awe of God. So we need to strengthen our faith. Our loins need to be girded in order to sustain everything else. So what is it that's going to do that? Is the study of the oral Torah. The Torah, the oral Torah in particular, is food that nourishes the soul's faith. In particular, the oral Torah, we're talking about not the written word, but the oral Torah. Because the oral Torah is a manifestation of the divine will. Meaning, Torah tells us about tefillin, but we have no understanding the written Torah tells us about tefillin. As a matter of fact, in this week's Torah portion, we have it, right, in the Shema. It speaks about tefillin. But you would never be able to fulfill the divine will of putting on tefillin, phylacteries, if it was not for the oral Torah. Likewise, Shabbos. The Torah tells us to keep the Sabbath. We would never be able to fulfill that commandment appropriately just by reading what the written word has. So we can't fulfill the supreme will of God until we study the oral Torah, like we do with Rambam. Maimonides' teachings has it, for example. And that gives us precise understanding of the divine will. So when we study the laws of the oral Torah, that nourishes our faith. That gives us the strength. Now, to give us further understanding on how Torah study is what's nourishing our faith, because think about it, faith is something beyond. Torah study is something that you understand with your mind. Well, the truth Torah, it comes from wisdom, chachma, but it merely is revealed through chachma, through divine wisdom. But the truth is, Torah far surpasses divine wisdom. It actually is the embodiment of the divine will. the supreme divine will of God, which the will encompasses wisdom. As metaphorically, the crown is above the head. So when we speak about the laws of Torah, when we speak about the teachings of the Torah, we speak about it as a crown that is placed over the head, where the brains are within the head. Meaning that the oral Torah reveals the divine will and transcends wisdom, because it is God's will, just because. So he chose. Just as the crown transcends the head and the brain of the individual. Therefore, to strengthen the loins, meaning the faith that the soul has, in order that the soul could actually properly support, as the loins of the physical body support the torso, support the head, support the arms, right, which again is the intellect and the love and awe of the divine. We study the laws in a manner that transcends logic, even though we need to understand it with logic, but we know that it is an expression of the divine will in the laws of the Torah. And this, therefore, parallels this idea that we're speaking, parallels what it says: a woman of valor is the crown of her husband. What does that mean? So, I mean, there's the literal meaning, but the metaphor of it is that husband refers to chachma. As men have more chachma, right? So, and women are the crown, which means chachma is the intelligence of the brain. Women are the crown, which is beyond that, which refers to the oral Torah, that has many laws in it, that serves as a crown to her husband. Husband chachma, the chachma is like the written word. The written word is very concise, just like chachma is a seed. So likewise in the written word is only a seed of the teachings. For that seed to develop, we need the oral Torah that gives us the full understanding. Again, by the example we gave, like tefillin, the Torah tells us about the mitzvah to put on tefillin, but all of the details of understanding of how to fulfill the divine will of putting on tefillin, or for Shabbos or any other mitzvah, it's in the oral tradition, the oral law, as opposed to the written word. Then that's the crown, as the woman is the crown. The woman is the expression of the oral Torah, right? And the man is the expression of the written Torah, metaphorically, male, female. This teaching also is likewise, as it says, whoever studies Torah laws every day is assured life in the world to come. Meaning the oral Torah enables one to be receptive to the divine revelation that will be coming in the world to come. As we'll learn much more about that in the 29th letter. This then is the meaning of the verse. She girds her loins with strength. Strength is only Torah. It's the only strength that there is. It gives power and strength to the loins, meaning to the faith of the soul. It gives the strength. And then, hence, once the soul, its faith is strengthened, then that gives the power of the loins to uphold the rest of the body of the individual, which is one's head and arms, which means your intellect. That your intellect will generate a love and awe of God in an appropriate way. Now, when is the ripe time, the good occasion, where you can strengthen fortify the arms and the head. In other words, the love and awe of God. Now, ultimately, when you think about it, faith is upholding the head, that the head then should now inspire, the intelligence should inspire emotions of love and awe of God, right? So, the where we want to, ultimately that our midos, our character should change. Character is in the emotional makeup of the individual. So that's the ultimate goal. Of course, from the character, then it will come to behavior of thought, speech, and action. So when is the appropriate time that the emotional makeup of the individual could be affected? Well, that is in the morning prayer. The morning prayer is a time of compassion on high, where the supreme will of God is revealed. The supreme will of God is revealed. Therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, in this first letter, that those who seek, who really want to get close to God, let them understand and contemplate and have a constant reminder between their eyes. Everything that I've spoken about in the past, and especially with respect to devout concentration during prayer, it comes from the depths of the heart. That when you desire to cleave with all your heart, with all your soul, to pour out your soul like water before Hashem, to press out, eke out a divine connection in our prayers. Very powerful, all-encompassing. So, faith, for it to grow, needs to be fed teachings of Torah, from the oral Torah, as we said, it's the crown. The oral Torah, the laws of the Torah, strengthens faith. Why? Because when you learn Torah and you understand it, it becomes real, it becomes authentic, it becomes your reality, it becomes your perspective on life. Because you've internalized it, it's like food that becomes your flesh and blood. So God's wisdom becomes your wisdom. His will becomes your will. That just strengthens our faith in God. And what is that faith in God? That God is transcendent, beyond, and eminent, and accessible at the same time. That He's from within. He's the reality of everything. That's the faith that we have. That's part of our soul. Powerful idea.